Howdy. Justin here from Ausgrave Royalty. Welcome to another video. All right, you saw the title. This is another kind of wild card, indulgent video. Just maybe you get to know me a bit better. It gives you some context as to who's behind the microphone here. Today we'll be talking about movies and yeah, my goal is to keep this kind of conversational and chill as much as me talking into a camera can be conversational. Seems kind of one way, you know. But I hope you'll mention in the comments what movies y'all like and where we agree and disagree. One idea I was kind of tinkering around with the channel was movie reviews. Again, as a new creator, I'm indulging in my new creator ignorance and taking chances with the types of videos I make. So better to do that now with no subscribers than to do it later with many more. And, you know, stakes are a little higher then. Speaking of movies, I just watched John Carpenter's Vampires. That is such a great movie. Oh my God, that is such a great movie. So maybe like, all right, Justin, that's great, but why? Why is it great? I guess the first thing that comes to mind is my favorite music genre is synthwave. A close second is Witch House. And actually I would argue there's overlap between them because this is going to be a little rant, but trust me, it'll be worth it. I hope. But the thing I love about synthwave is, yes, it's a music genre, but it's an umbrella and it's got different manifestations it can take. So there's like the romantic synthwave aesthetic. And you see that in Black Mirror, the one about the old lady couple, the lesbian couple in virtual reality. Sorry if I spoiled it. I forgot that. I'm blanking on the name of it, but that's a very synthwavy aesthetic. And it's like the romantic side. Now, you also got like the adventure synthwave. Like there's action and adventure and novelty and risk and trials and overcoming and growth and all that. Very active. And that's like Turbo Kid, if y'all have seen that movie. I mean, the band who did the soundtrack, Lamatos, they are a synthwave band. That is a synthwave movie. And I mean, the movie stands on its own and it's decent. But really there's an argument to be made that the music actually comes first. It's like almost a glorified music video in a way. And I mean that as a compliment. And then you have like a cult synthwave. And that's like bands like Ghost or Perturbator or who are they? Perturbator. Damn it. I'm blanking on the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, like Ghost, Perturbator, and like this would be like Mandy, like with Nicolas Cage. Yes, it doesn't have a synthwave soundtrack. The Guest would be another. Like The Guest would fall into that same vein. It's sort of like horror, like pulpy, that like old cheesy horror kind of thing going, and even Drive with like its thriller dimension uh, would flirt with this kind of area as well. And I think of like, there's like that Reinhardt skin from Overwatch where it's in very dark armor and it's got like the dark red kind of furnace glowing in the chest. That's extremely synthwave in like, that's like the dark occult synthwave aspect. Whereas like you have the Zarya and she's in like that jazzercised 80s arcadey synthwave. They're both synthwave. They're just different expressions. That's the word I was looking for earlier. They're both expressions of the same genre. I love that the genre, not only it can be at once highly nuanced and yet also highly versatile in its expression. That was a rant, but I have a list pulled up here so I don't forget of just movies that I really dig. And like Blade Runner 2049, it's got like cyberpunk. It's cyberpunk. I mean, it's very close to synthwave, if not under the same umbrella as well. And like The Guest is on here. I already mentioned that. That's like synthwave canon. Like that movie is at the center of what synthwave is as a genre. And same with that short from Black Mirror and Turbo Kid and there are others. I'm blanking. So yeah, that was a rant. Right. So yeah. Oh yeah. Back to vampires. Vampires. John Carpenter's Vampires. It's like Hobo with a Shotgun is another one. Some of the grindhouse features could be that the pulpy kind of dripping action, like cheesy 80s action stuff. That's got the aesthetic of synthwave. But yeah, Vampire. So that's one reason I really dig it. I mean, and John Carpenter, I mean, the soundtrack. Come on, synthwave. He's at the center of it too. And I want to find out more about John Carpenter. I hope I don't discover anything shady to ruin my glorious image of him. But, watching that again, I was like, damn, this is a good movie. I know the only thing I know about him is that he had to do a lot of shit himself. Like, I think he himself did the soundtrack. He himself did a lot of the other stuff. And he was disliked by Hollywood, which is a credit to him, not a con. So yeah, that's all I know about him, that he was a resourceful outsider, a visionary, a true artist. But yeah, James Woods, oh my God. The guy is incredible. He is completely in his element in that character. And the shots of like him with his like vampire crew and the pause of like, it's that glorious, extremely cheesy, lovable pause of like the action posse, at the beginning when they're rooting out that initial cabin. It actually reminds me a lot of like a shot you'd see in anime. Let me know what you think about that. But actually the whole movie feels like it could be an anime like episode or movie, It's got like an unique cast of characters, a good villain, I guess. Yeah, I was really unexpectedly pleasantly surprised by that movie. Yeah, the Guest is another one of my favorite movies. Dan Stevens, man, did knock that role out of the park. And the soundtrack, the shots, the edits, the shameless on the nose battle of the mirrors with the smoke. They're milking that synthwave feel, man, like to the bone. And I love them for it. uh, oh man, what's his name? The guy in The Guest that plays Broyles in Fringe. I love that actor, and the guy he's like the hotel concierge in John Wick, the African American guy. He's such a great actor, and he was perfect in The Guest. Right? Just like, sir, we have a situation. Blah blah blah. Like ultra painfully cliche. And he's like, I have to go. And he's like, get me some shooters. It's so corny. It's so incredibly corny, but I love it. See, like, oh, I gotta say, so Top Gun Maverick, the new one. Yeah, it was good. Saw it with a good friend of mine in Tennessee. Trust me, it's related. I'm gonna spoil it here, or a particular scene. You've been warned. So there's like a scene where Tom Cruise and the other guy. Sorry, I'm terrible. I know. Was it Miles Teller? Maybe. Yeah. They get shot down, and they've been briefed that like the enemy base contains this state-of-the-art like aircraft, right? Of the unnamed enemy country, which is a great idea. I have more to say on that, but I'll one thing at a time, Justin. Okay. So they both get shot down. They're trying to survive. They're trying to, GTFO, and they worm their way through the wilderness and find the base. Okay. So it's been heavily damaged. Like it got bombarded and rendered virtually unusable as like as a runway for the enemy anymore, if I recall. But there's this amazing, beautiful 80s cheesy moment they slip in right there that I absolutely love. Okay. I'll get to the point of all this in a moment, but like in the midst of all that carnage that rained down upon that base, they're like looking and is that a completely undamaged F14 Tomcat, the most iconic plane in Top Gun? Yeah, it is. Okay, let's go take it. Okay, beep beep beep, we're off. It's so absurd. It's literally like, you know what, Miles Teller? Here's what, God, you know what I wish we had? I wish that when we look at that base, there's a completely undamaged, ready to go F-14 Tomcat. Even though the base is filled with state-of-the-art planes, if only we could find the most iconic plane in the franchise, completely undamaged, in a hangar and ready to go. That would be amazing. Hand me those binoculars. Oh my God, look, it's an F-14 Tomcat. I like to think that there was a conversation like, nobody is going to believe you. Like Tom Cruise is like, we got to have the F-14 Tomcat. And everyone's like, oh, here goes Tom again. Tom, look, it'd be cool, yes, but here's the thing. In the series of the plot, the whole base just got shredded to bits by all this fire. There's no way the audience is going to believe that there's an out-of-date antique, at this point, aircraft, undamaged completely, and also that it happens to be the most iconic Top Gun plane, just happens to be there. It's too contrived, Tom. You've lost your shit, Tom is like, do it. And the producer, like, give Tom what he wants. And all right, fine. And then like the movie's a hit, and Tom's like, "Told you so," and the director's like, "I give up." You know? But you put it's a lesson. You put the fantasy, but before the logic. Like that's what I think. Ayn Rand talked about romanticism in art, right? Which is basically gone from like modern cinema now. It's all about darkness, about reality. Like, don't hope for anything. Hope is poison. Like that's for naive people. You got to live in the muck, man. You got to embrace the shitty world. All this dystopian stuff. Like, we're gonna wreck the environment, and it's inevitable, and that's just the way things are. And any other opinion that anyone has that the world isn't going to complete shit and there's nothing we can do about it is just being naive. And everyone betrays. Everyone's out for power. In romanticism, you make art about what people should aspire to, not to avoid, and all this nonsense. And you're supposed to laugh at evil as the argument goes in romanticism. You laugh at evil. You don't laugh at the good in art. It doesn't jive. Art is supposed to be aspirational. It's supposed to set an example about what can be accomplished. It's looking forward, looking with a bright future in mind. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's like the TLDR. And I think that is embedded in Synthwave. Just to bring it all back. Oh, how about that? And maybe I'm stretching, but I think that moment in Top Gun where it put the romance of like the Top Gun lore and the kind of universe Top Gun is, it in that moment switched it from like we got to destroy the unobtainium, and this is a very serious, very present day relatable story, and it switched it to no, this is just about fun, and the fun comes first. And that's the way it should be. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading way too much into it, but that's a moment that really struck me. Yeah, it is overshare. I'm attempting a segue that some would call quite a stretch. So with the Aliens franchise, especially with Prometheus, when it came out, there was this rabid foaming at the mouth, like, the science doesn't make sense. Like, how can this movie is unwatchable? The science, Oh my God. Like, what is your day-to-day life like that you have to be such a shitheel, It's a freaking movie, man. And there are aliens. There are xenomorphs. Like, they're talking about, like, the ship travel and, oh, the space is unrealistic. Okay? And the xenomorphs? Hello? The engineers? I'm sorry. I'm hashtag triggered. I just like lighten the hell up. Have some fun. Relax, man. Yes, there is a limit on how much you can stretch the science before it becomes absurd. I get that. I've seen Prometheus several times, and I'm no scientist, but there's nothing obvious in that movie compared to any other sci-fi movie. What, Star Wars? Oh, I can't watch Star Wars because it's got lightsabers and the Force. Obviously, that's not based on science, so I can't watch the movie. Nobody ever said in their entire life. So don't talk to me about the science in Prometheus. Yeah, I don't know why people hate that movie so much. I thought it was a great movie. Like, it's polished. It's got a basic but effective plot. Yeah, some of the characters are obnoxious. Are you going into Prometheus thinking it's going to be a deep character study? Maybe that's your problem. Ask yourself, what is the movie trying to do? It's trying to tell an epic story about various factions in the universe, how they propagate, basically. Did the movie basically accomplish that? To the degree that it did, only on that fundamental criteria, that's how you rate it. It's not a documentary. It's not a character study. It's not a deep drama. Like, what is the movie trying to do, and was it effective? You can apply this to anything. John Carpenter's Vampires. It was trying to tell a really fun, gritty, pulpy vampire slaying story. On that, I mean, I'm sorry I have to say this. But yeah, that's the scale, you know? What were they going for? Did it achieve the intended goal? Yeah, and I loved Covenant. That like, there were a lot of powerful moments in there. And there were basic cinematic techniques like the switch between the androids and stuff like that, but that genocidal scene was really powerful for me. Just how far David has gone into the deep end and how dangerous he can be. I mean, it's basically Frankenstein's monster, right? And again, from the beyond, that is through the interwebs, Molyneux becomes vindicated again with, if you treat your children like shit, they'll eventually go out into the world that you and I live in and wreak havoc. So treat your kids well, okay? Parenting is everything. Somehow I just tied an Alien Covenant to Stefan Molyneux. Wow. I'm giving myself a gold star for that. But yeah, that's the mission statement of this channel. Sending up the flare, you know. Increasing awareness, even though it may or may not be valuable to you. But yeah, what else? I'm really I'm scared about how, like, obsessed I am with, like, David Fincher films. Like, I've watched Seven a billion times recently, and what I've noticed is, like, the mystery is great, but having watched that movie so many times, I kind of had a revelation that it's not so much the mystery that gets me with that movie, even though it definitely is the hook. And the vile imagery is shock value that's properly used. Thank you, David Fincher, for not, like, rapidly increasing the volume and making everyone in the theater jump and calling that an effective scare. No, I mean, we're talking about creating a universe of dread, of terror, and It Follows did a good job with that. And again, another synthwave kind of movie. Like, very basic, but that's the key to horror, at least for me. is stop with these volume transition, these tricks, and like with the lighting and, oh, you see them, now you don't. Oh, I'm a horror movie genius. No, you create a universe where you're never safe, where the cast is never safe. So the viewer is always they can't relax, you know? And It Follows was a genius in that respect. And even The Guest had an element of that. Like, who is this guy? And great foreshadowing about like Dan Stevens, you know, and him unraveling as the epitome of a synthwave villain. And Mandy like grabs you by the throat and does not let go. That sounds very like does not let go, you know. But it's true. Once that movie hits that point, it's just foot on the gas, unstoppable, pure mayhem. It's got to be, I think it's my third favorite movie of all time. I've said this in the About Me channel introduction video. Fifth Element is my favorite movie of all time. Second is Chinatown. And third has got to be Mandy. Fourth, probably Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, David Fincher. Maybe fifth would be The Northman. Oh my God, The Northman was so good. If y'all haven't seen that movie, you got to see that movie. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. And I admit my bias here because we're covering Dr. Anthony Stevens' book on archetypes, and that movie is rich with archetypal themes, and especially the archetype of initiation. As a matter of fact, kind of some behind the scenes of Ausgrave royalty. What everyone wants to know. Says nobody. The first thumbnail I made, like playing with thumbnail design, was the following. It was The Northman and the Importance of Initiation for Men by Ausgrave royalty. That was like a possible video title. That was the first video title I wanted to do. And it's since been refined and all that, but you might say it's very indirectly responsible for this channel, that movie. It was part of the spark that gave me the mana to kind of to like get the ball rolling, you know. We're about out of time. FYI, I keep saying that my camera it has a 30-minute time limit. And that's why I keep saying we're out of time at around 30 minutes. It literally stops recording. I need to get a better camera. I know. There's a donation link below. As much as, you know, but on the other hand, it keeps my trap running for only 30 minutes. Otherwise, who knows how long these would be. So maybe it's a good boundary to have. But yeah, I hope that there was some value there. I'm glad I was able to talk more about movies than just list off movies that I like. I want to talk more about this. If you think like I should do some reviews here and there, let me know in the comments if that would be a thing you might enjoy based on the way I seem to be approaching movies in general. But yeah, I'm getting more and more into movies as I grow older, and I want this to be a conversation on the channel about movies. So let me know. Yeah. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.